Welcome to the only live webcast that brings you the passion, the power and the pulse of the mighty One New Zealand Warriors. This is Ruin Hammer Live. No stone left unturned as we dive deep into everything Warriors. Joining me tonight, as usual, is my co-host and fellow Warriors Tragic, Warrior Roo. Robbie, how are you, mate? We had a good catch-up on the Gold Coast on the weekend, something that we always get together from round one, regardless of where it is. Always great to catch up with you, mate. It was a good weekend.
It was a great weekend, actually. Good times had by all. Yeah, we took the opportunity to have a little bit of a mini weekend getaway with the kids. They loved it. They just love hotels for some reason. My kids just love when you go to a hotel. And we had a great feed at Bubba June's there at Surfers Paradise. If you after Persian food, you got to try it if you haven't tried it. And you took my kids, honestly. I think you put my kids off sugar for life. Because Dad said, no one knows Hammer is the biggest sweet tooth you'll ever come across. I don't think we walked past a joint that had something sweet in it without him insisting on going inside. And mate, the kids were absolutely spoiled by it. We had ice cream, we had lollies, we had vanilla slice donuts, Krispy Kreme.
Krispy Kreme.
That was fantastic, by the way. I love a vanilla slice. But that was a great weekend. And then we caught up on Sunday back at your hotel.
Yep.
And it was going great up until that 80 minutes that occurred at about 10 a.m. But we're going to get into that a bit later. But as you guys know, as everyone would probably know, I'm based here in southeast Queensland, and there is a cyclone steadily approaching basically where I am. So in southeast Queensland, Cyclone Alfred is off the coast, and it's expected to cross the coast at approximately, I think, around 4 a.m. or really early on Friday morning. So we're in some really wild weather. So this whole week, the government and everyone involved has been telling everyone to get ready. So I never thought I would see this. Normally you expect cyclones, much further north and tropical North Queensland, but Brisbane is subtropical, and there has been cyclones here before. There was one in, I think, 1974. That's very uncommon. But here we are, prepping for a cyclone, filling up massive water bottles everywhere, prepping for getting generators charged, phone, those little phone power banks, all that stuff, just in case it gets really wild. But yeah, it's expected to be, I think, a Category 2 cyclone, which is bad enough. But anything more than that, we're starting to get really hairy. So we're expecting some really wild weather. So all you guys who are watching in southeast Queensland and around the Gold Coast, Sunshine Coast, that Bribie Island, all you guys, make sure you stay safe, get everything sorted. Don't leave it to the last minute. The shops are just like COVID. Every time we go in there, toilet paper went, bread gone, milk gone. Long life milk is the other one. So it's really bizarre because I've never had to do this kind of thing before. But here we are. So make sure all you guys, big love to all you guys in southeast Queensland, my fellow southeast Queenslanders,
and
make sure
northern New South Wales as well.
And northern New South Wales. I think it's extended down to even Grafton. They said.
Grafton, Lismore. But you're right. I was up the Gold Coast for the weekend. I really had no idea that there was a cyclone out to sea or forming until we got up there. Danny and I are massive fans of the beach and getting back to nature. We didn't go to the beach the whole time we were up there this time because the waves were quite...
it was massive, wasn't it? It was out of control.
Massive surf.
You could see them from the hotel.
Yeah. Did have a swim in the hotel pool with the kids on Sunday, but But then Monday when we left, I left early, got woken up pretty early in the morning by the storms. We were on the 34th floor of the Meriton there at Southport. Could hear the storms. I had rain pretty much the whole time driving back from the Gold Coast till I hit probably Ballina. Then we had some finer weather as we headed down the coast through Coffs Harbour, took a detour through Southwest Rocks and what have you. But then rain again in Sydney when I got back. But yeah, it's been pretty hectic up there, mate. And yeah, as you said, I echo those thoughts. We just hope that everyone in southeast Queensland, northern New South Wales, stays safe.
Yeah, I see. Speaking of southeast Queensland, I see Jay Harris is in here. He's up at Harvey Bay. He's saying that it's lucky it's going to pass him most likely because it's hitting Kagari, aka Fraser Island.
Yes.
So, yeah, but stay safe regardless, mate. Just make sure you got everything. I know you will. You're a pretty resourceful guy. The Clough stuff. Welcome back, mate. It's been a while. You're on the Gold Coast now as well, aren't you? So, yeah, you better make sure you stay safe there as well, brother. But all you guys there, anything that you need, just reach out and I'll do my very best. But yeah, make sure you're looking after your families and staying safe. Friday and Thursday and Friday. Yeah.
I do have to apologise to you though, because in all the excitement of catching up with you, and yes, I did give your kids a bit of a sugar rush on Saturday night. I made sure that we got some lollies. We had ice cream at Baskin and Robbins. Went for a bit of a walk. And then I did take you into Krispy Kreme because I couldn't believe that you were unaware that Krispy Kreme had the vanilla sliced donut.
Yes.
I forgot to give you a vanilla slice Maxi Bon when you came on Saturday.
Right. Oh, I remember you mentioning that. Yeah. Oh,
I
you
had them in the freezer.
Oh.
Yeah. So the old vanilla, mate. I guarantee anyone out there, get yourself a vanilla slice Maxi Bon. They are awesome. But yeah, mate, it was good catching up with you. And yeah, I do hope you stay safe. And we could lose contact over the next couple of days when it does hit. But yeah, mate, like as you're offering to everyone else, if you need anything, just reach out, mate. I can make sure I can send you whatever you need.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Should we talk about NRL round 1? Kicked off in Vegas on Saturday. We're not going to talk about the whole Vegas experience as such. We've got a massive treat next week. Richie Morgan, the head of Warrior Nation here in Australia and arguably one of the Warriors' biggest fans. He went over for the Vegas experience, probably spent 2 weeks over in America, I think, all up. We're going to have him on next Wednesday night. He's going to talk about all the Vegas stuff, the fan type stuff that he was able to partake in. What we're going to talk about is purely the rugby league side of things because we didn't get to go over there. Season kicked off in Vegas, mate. They were saying 45,000 tickets sold for that game in Las Vegas. I would say 99% of those would be fans travelling from Australia, New Zealand, and the UK. As a selling point, the game going to the US public, I don't think it's happening as a massive as much as the NRL are making out. They did say, as I said, 45,000 people. I don't think there was many local American fans there. The NRL are saying that they had 600,000 viewers for the Warriors versus Raiders game on the streaming service that they had operating in America, saying it's up 600% on last season. I don't know how much I believe that.
What's the sample size as well?
Because the ticket sales are just questionable. It's not selling, I guess, as a thing to the American public, as far as I can see.
Seems to be just a destination game. It's just people are just willing to travel to it.
It's a bucket list thing. People are talking about, even the players when they're interviewed, they're talking about it's like a grand final or a state of origin build-up. It's something great for the fans to be able to participate in. You and I said all along that it's a long way to go to watch the Warriors lose a game. However, I think if we're more financially viable, we probably would have been there as well as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I don't regret
that was the only
not going.
silver lining. Yeah, that's the only silver lining for me. I never ever would want the boys to lose, but I'm like, oh well. I mean, I suppose that's the one thing that we can sort of put our feet up and say we didn't travel all that distance. But I mean, you miss out on all the festivities beforehand and all that kind of thing. It just would have been a very long trip home, I must say.
Yeah, absolutely. It's obviously, as you said, it's a spectacle. It's I don't know. And obviously, it was an awesome experience for all those that went. And like I said, we'll have Richie Morgan on next week who will talk about that from a personal perspective. But yeah, if the NRL's main objective is to engage the American public, I still don't think it's happening yet.
No chance.
But, it's something that they're committed to for the next 5 or 6 years. So it will be interesting. I must say the Warriors fan base was out in force. And if anything, if they're going to go off in future years, once they get through every NRL team going there and there's going to be a double up, I'd say that the Warriors would be one of the teams that they would send purely because their fans travelled.
That's the other question, isn't it? If the Warriors weren't involved this year, would that crowd have even been anywhere near 45,000? Because we know that everyone jumped on board that charter flight. There was huge. Like at one point, it did feel like you and I were the only Warriors fans not over there. But it's hard to see some of the other clubs getting their fan base to travel like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things, though. Like it was great, and we're going to get into the other games, but it was great to see, the English sides over there and their fan base. Nathan Cleary came out and said it'd be a great spectacle if you could have the World Club Challenge there. The hardest thing about that is announcing which team's going to be playing there. You're not going to know until grand finals played in October.
Yeah, it's hard to pre-plan for that.
Yeah,
you got to book in advance.
Absolutely. But yeah, great spectacle. Should we talk about our game?
Sure. Let's rip the Band-Aid off, as we say.
A disappointing 30-8 loss to the Raiders. I've got some notes on the game. I started taking notes while watching it and then just put my phone away. What?
I did notice that. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the game, mate? What did you make of the Warriors' first hit out for season 2025, especially after all the hype and everyone commenting on how good we looked in the trials, particularly against the Storm a couple of weeks prior?
Reserve grade Storm side, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, mate, there was a lot of hype, as there always is this time of year. But, I mean, I think you and I were both approaching it with a fair bit of caution, having had 30 years experience in the game.
Yep.
Outside of straight up disappointing, we were just well off the pace. Like, we were playing slow motion footy, and the Raiders were on top of their game. They were running us ragged. They were throwing offloads. We just couldn't handle them up the middle. And their offload game was killing us. And the boys looked tired after about 5-10 minutes. And you're thinking this could be a long game. And I think in attack, that was the most that was the hardest part to watch, because it was just all in slow motion, and especially that intercept. Like, they just Savage just picked that off so easy. And it's hard when we're completely dominated up front. We had no go forward. We had two halves that really struggled as well, that must be said. Neither of them had a particularly great game. They tried, but it's really difficult when you got a pack that's kind of being dominated. I thought the Raiders' little men really exploited us as well. The speed. That's one thing that we touched on before the game, was their speed, like Starling covering us up through the middle. I was worried about KO Weeks. He didn't particularly feature that much, but Savage was having a great game. We made Seb Chris look like a State of Origin centre, all that stuff we usually do. And we just look like we completely lack speed, which is kind of what we knew anyway. But no early ball out to Ali Leotoa or the back rowers, and what unfolded.
It just looked like we had no direction in attack. We lacked any shape or creativity. Defensively, I thought we were good in stages, but we were unable to stop that Raiders offload game. Their offloads were absolutely outstanding. They had too much speed on the edges. We had too many errors. We had 43 missed tackles. Capewell with 9 and Metcalf with 7 missed tackles alone.
Yeah, that's a lot.
35. We had 35 tackles inside the Raiders 20 with no result. The Raiders only had 17 inside our 20, which I thought was a really glaring stat in the game. We had 9 offloads to the Raiders 17. We had a very ineffective kicking game. It was kind of back to the old days of kicking on the fifth for the sake of kicking on the fifth with no real intent.
Yep.
But apparently Kurt Cate was on the tables after the game till 5 a.m. on his own and had a massive blue with the misses. Well, I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. But we just got dominated in the middle. That was the difference. We got dominated in the middle, whether it was in attack or defence. The Raiders go forward was always moving forward, and their offloads was just creating havoc for us. They dominated the ruck. We only had James Fisher-Harris, Ford, and Clark were the only middles of the Warriors that made over 100 metres and just over 100 metres, whereas Horsburgh, Starling, Tarpano, Young, Smithies, and Papali'i all over 100 metres for the Raiders. The dominance of the ruck by the Raiders forced our attack to go sideways, and by going sideways, we just had no impact whatsoever. It was a hard watch. It was a really hard watch for round one. I think Jacko posted before it was probably our second worst round one defeat in the history of the club.
After we got touched up by the Eels, I think in 2013. Yeah, our second worst round one defeat in history. Takes some explaining. It takes a lot of explaining. Yeah,
it does. I don't know. Our spine just lacked any impact whatsoever on the game. Chance looks like he's lost a yard of pace. Chance is a great stalwart of the game, and he plays hard every week, tries his hardest, but I don't know. Is he the best fit for us at fullback? When you've got a guy like Taintu Apiki, who played on the wing, out of position. But then in saying that, you've also got a guy like Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, who was our biggest metre reader on the weekend, with over 209 metres in a team that really had no go forward whatsoever. Roger was kind of probably our best on field. Is he wasted on the wing? Do we need him to be more involved? Playing around the ruck off the back of our forwards. Chance doesn't seem to do that. Egan was kind of looked like a yard off the pace. I was really disappointed that a guy like Sam Healy wasn't named on the bench because he was a guy, based on what we saw in the trials, he was a guy that added a little bit of pace, had a little bit of input around the ruck. He could have been dynamic for us around the ruck. Aaron Clark, he played well when he came on. Dylan Walker, I thought, showed a lot of creativity when he came on. He was probably our most creative.
Most potent in attack. Yeah. Showed a lot more than the halves did. I think we've lost Hammer. Geez, I thought it was me that was going to be having the internet issues. But, we'll carry on. I think he was saying, when Dylan Walker came on, that he really... Oh, he's still there, mate?
I'm here.
Oh, you just dropped out there. You were saying about Dylan Walker changing the momentum of the game a little bit when he came on?
Yeah. Dylan Walker changed the momentum of the game. And what I was saying was a guy like CHT, we know he's got a lot of fans out there, but he's never really been a proven playmaker for the Warriors.
No, not at all. Yeah.
All the opportunities he's had. So, I don't know. Does Webby make changes for round two, or you've said all on his team for the first 4 rounds of the comp?
Yeah, I think he will. It might be a bit like last year where he kept saying, I don't think we're that far off. Like he kept saying that last year. Like I think we still got the same ingredients there to repeat 2023, but it just never happened.
No.
I would love to see some changes. Although, do you give those guys another shot at redemption? They got an opportunity to go out there and give a better account of themselves. I don't know, but I think like you said, Chance. As much as we love him as a guy, and he's a really great team man, and he's a very solid contributor, and I think solid is the word that pretty much sums him up. He just is lacking speed and he's just getting caught out a little bit. He had a couple of moments under the high ball. I think we need a more dynamic option back there. We shift Tane back there. We shift Roger back there. We do something. Like the halves, I mean, you can probably give them a little bit of a pass because they didn't have much to work with.
No,
and they were constantly under pressure.
So, yeah, they were playing behind a forward pack that wasn't moving forward.
Yeah, I like the Clough stuff has said. I wouldn't mind seeing Healy on there as well because we've heard a lot about what he can do. An extra element in attack. The other thing I want to talk about was an interesting comment made by Matty Johns during the telecast, and he was saying that because we have such inexperienced halves in our side, that we'd probably be looking at focusing our attack around Wade Egan. Now, I know you mentioned Wade Egan was a little bit off himself and didn't really run too much, but what do you think about that? Because I know Canberra had a similar game model about 5 or 6 years ago when they centered everything around Josh Hodgson and he was like their focal point in attack. Do you think that's something that can work for us if we make Egan the man, the sort of almost the chief playmaker?
Yeah, I think that'll work to a point. Again, he's got to be playing behind a forward pack moving forward and some quick play the ball. If we're getting dominated in the ruck, he's not going to be able to do any of that stuff.
Nothing for him to do. Yeah.
No, I think the call not to play Tamari Martin. It's a big ask for Luke Metcalf to play number 7 and control this side, and it's a big ask to learn to play 7 in first grade. If that was their plan for Metcalf, then he should have been playing 7 in reserve grade last year, but he wasn't. He was still playing 6. I would love to see if they're going to play Metcalf at 7. I would like to see him start Walker at 6 because I think Walker, as a robust 6, would give us a few more options. He runs onto the ball well. He sets up his outside man. He's a mature head. Or we move Metcalf back to 6 and we play Tamari Martin at 7.
What about having starting Walker at lock? Bit of ball playing, like Jacko's saying.
I'm not opposed to that either. I said that when we were talking about in our season preview. I thought Walker should start at 13 in the absence of Tohu Harris now. I couldn't understand Jacko Ford starting in the front row
that was bizarre.
on the weekend. It was they tried that last year with Jacko Ford as a front rower, and he's not a front rower. He's not built as a front rower. He doesn't have the motor like a Lindsay Smith in that same body shape to play front row. He's an out-and-out edge back rower. But I was surprised that a guy like Jacob Laban didn't get picked in the 22 to travel over there as well. And then I'm
lacking the size as well. He's a big man, Jacob Laban.
Yeah,
like we're a pack that was outsized by the Raiders.
The other thing is, I mean, and I've been critical of 2023. People tended to overlook Webby's bench rotation because we played so well and we're winning games. But last year it was glaring, and this year the same. The fact that we had 2 guys like Halasima and Vaimunga on the bench, and neither of those guys got on in the opening 60 minutes of that game. When a guy like Kate Walker playing tired, he was put into the earlier than
we needed the punch. Yeah, a game where they needed to be injected into the game for a bit of punch, a little bit of point of difference. You know, like Halasima is a bit of a wrecking ball. Vaimunga, he runs the ball hard and he's got a little bit of skill about him as well. But that was really weird, giving them basically Gutho minutes at the end.
I'm looking at the conversation in the chat. Both Jacko and the Clough stuff are talking about Tanner Boyd. Tanner Boyd's been named at 7, I think, this week for the Warriors reserve grade side. So will be a good indication of where he's at. Laban's been named in that reserve grade side. The big in the reserve grade team this weekend that's going to play Canberra at Leichhardt Oval on Saturday at I think it's 4 p.m. local time here in New South Wales. So if anyone in Sydney wants to go and support our pathways, I think the Flag are playing before them. Rocco Berry makes his return in the centres. which is an interesting one. A fit Rocco. Do you find a spot for him in the centres with Ali Leatua, or do you persevere with Adam Pompey, or in the absence of Dallin Watene-Zelezniak, do you put some size on that wing and you move Pompey out to the wing and bring Rocco into the centres? Yeah. And then, where does Tane go? You know what I mean? Like, does he go back to fullback? Does he stay on the wing? Roger goes to fullback. Does Chance, I don't know, come off the bench? I don't know. There's a lot of variables. We've got some quality players there. The issue that we have is that we're very inexperienced in our halves. I agree with Jacko. I think Rocco goes straight back in. Because one thing I did notice on the weekend was, and one thing that we've always said about Rocco is his chase on our kicks is always first class. He's always the first person down there on a kick chase. We didn't see that on the weekend. The Raiders were, after a kick, were able to make 15, 20, 25 metres easily every time they fielded a kick. We didn't have a very good kick chase at all on the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of many areas where we struggled. To answer that question, I'm not a big fan of putting Pompey on the wing because we're trying to increase pace. And as you know, Pompey's not overly quick outside back. He's probably more known for his size and his defensive abilities. So, yeah, look, to be honest with you, a Pompey and Berry centre combination doesn't excite me at all. It's got to be Leatua, and if Berry has to come in, then maybe Pompey has to drop out of the team. I would have Tane on the wing. We need pace. Tane, well, he's not a big man. He's quick. So we need at least some kind of pace on the outside to, it's our biggest weakness at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know I love Tane, and I'm a big fan of having him in the team. And even though I think his effectiveness is a bit sort of nullified on the wing, he can still interject, and he's still there and in the mix and that kind of thing. He can insert himself where he has to. But yeah, I don't know. I think Berry is going to come straight back in. He's one of Webby's favourites again. So he loves his guys. So that's why Jacko Ford, I think, will always be around the team as well, because he's another one that Webby really likes.
Yeah, interesting question there from Malcolm. Do you think having both captains in the same prop rotation off for 20 to 30 minutes hurt us? Absolutely. The one thing that the big glaring thing for me in this game was, I know we bought Fisher Harris, and Fish is a great leader, and he's going to be great for those young kids coming through with his, his presence in the cultural, the Māori system. We really missed Adam Fanua-Blake's go forward. He is just Fisher Harris is a different front rower to what Fanua-Blake is. Fisher Harris and Barnett are very similar game styles where they work hard, they play hard. They're both quite intense men. Fanua-Blake was the kind of guy where his post-contact meters were massive every week. He'd often have a offload in him or land hands, knees for a quick play of the ball. I really think we missed him. But yeah, having both those two guys off the field at the same time, ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous. I don't know. It's... I picked us to win a 10-point ball game. I really thought we'd have. I thought Leatua would dominate on an edge. Niokore, Marata Niokore. What is going on with that bloke? Towards the end of last year, or all of last year, actually, he stopped running at holes and he runs straight at defenders. He gets stopped in his tracks. He's not an edge back rower as far as I'm concerned anymore. He's a middle forward, and he should be in that middle forward rotation now. Yeah. I don't know. Like, obviously,
it's frustrating to watch. He's a big man and a big presence. And when he was at Parramatta, he used to run the hole perfectly, run the gaps, run straight in there. But now it's just like he just makes a beeline for the defenders, and it's pointless. Just run straight into them, close to the line.
It's almost like a feat of strength. He runs at them to see if he can run over the top of them. That's
and
all
then
I
he
can put it
realizes
down
it's
to.
first grade footy, and that kind of thing doesn't happen. That's not in under eights. But yeah, I mean, that was the other thing about our game. It was just all 1 out stuff, 1 out runs. We had a set on the line. We get a repeat set on the line, and 4 out of the 5 tackles are just 1 out runs, trying to barge over. It's like we keep defaulting back to, if we can't score, let's just do the barge over. Except, as you said, Fanua Blake is not there. He was the only guy that could really do that, which we saw in that second game in Vegas, where he just basically carried guys over the line. We don't have anyone that can do that anymore. No. And for Niokore to just keep running straight into the defence, it's frustrating to watch.
Yeah, very frustrating. Webster's selections, bench rotations were a worry, but are becoming a very serious concern. It is like he learned nothing from 2024, but hopefully I am wrong. I agree with you 100%, Jacko. Yeah. And not just his bench rotation, it's his bench. Yeah, you've got selections there. Yeah, I would have had a guy like Healy on the bench, especially with the history that we've had with Wade Egan, head knocks and missing games. I think using Walker or Aaron Clark as a makeshift dummy half is just like when we used to use Jazz as a reluctant dummy half, although, funnily enough, he's been named at 9 for Manly this week. So, so I messaged him today about that and had a bit of a laugh with him. But, and we have no plan B in our game plans. And that's...
I agree.
That's just the issue.
It comes out every time. Last year was some of the most frustrating games we've watched. I think the game we played against St. George, the one that you were at Wynn Stadium, it's just like we completely ran out of ideas, and we just constantly kept trying to put Adden over for a try. We just kept trying to hit forwards with pressure balls close to the line, and it was just diabolical attack. And I don't know, this has been with us back to like the Nathan Brown days as well. It's like, if in doubt, let's just try and put someone over close to the line. So it's just first grade footy. It's only going to work every now and then.
Yeah. And the glaring thing was you watch that game, and then in the afternoon you watch the Sharks and the Panthers game, which was a high-quality game of footy, and we'll get to that in a minute. Before we do, mate, once again, we'll be doing our Dean Bell medalist, Warrior number 1, in honour of Warrior number 1, Dean Bell. Our 3-2-1s every week. Who are your 3-2-1s this week, mate?
It was a tough one. I remember saying to you probably 3/4 of the way through the game, like, who are you thinking about 3-2-1s? And it was like, that's really tough for all the wrong reasons. I thought Rog had a pretty solid game. Plenty of run meters. He got involved, scored a try. Probably looked the most likely out of all the outside backs.
Yep.
On the day, so he got my 3 points. 2 points went to Mitch Barnett. He was pretty solid. He made close to I think it's 86 run meters, and he made 30 tackles. He tried his ass off like he always does. I gave him my 2. And as you touched on, Dylan Walker did make an impression when he came on the field. A little bit of ball playing, a little bit of a bit of a point of difference for our attack. So he got 1 point for me. So 3 Rog, 2 Mitch Barnett, 1 Dylan Walker. Yourself?
Okay. Same for your 3, mate. I went Roger. I thought he was the most likely. I thought he 209 run meters. I thought he was looked the most dangerous with ball in hand. I gave 2 points to Dylan Walker for everything I said before. I thought he showed a little bit more creativity when he came on. We looked a little bit more organised when he was on the field, and I'd definitely have him in my starting 13. And I gave 1 point to James Fisher-Harris. Big occasion, making your club debut. Even bigger occasion when you're doing it on that stage. I thought he handled the occasion quite well. Not the start that he would want to his Warriors career, but was the only starting forward that ran for over 100 metres. and looked dangerous at times. Got over the line, dropped the ball over the line, trying to get the ball down. So I gave the Fish 1 point, which means Rog kicks off the season with a perfect 6.
It feels weird saying that, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it feels funny saying.
It does.
Oh, he's flying ahead, and it's like he just was the best of a bad bunch.
He was. Dylan Walker with 3, Barnett with 2, and James Fisher-Harris 1 point to start off season 2025 in the Dean Bell medal. Panthers versus Sharks game, mate. A Panthers 28 over the Sharks 22. Mate, this was a Clough stuff. Looking forward to Webby playing with the 2-man bench game next week. Yeah, it should be great. Panthers 28, Sharks 22. Mate, this was a great game of footy. I really lifted the level of gameplay from that first game. Sharks definitely going to be there and abouts at the end of the season. I think Fanua Blake's really brought something to that team, as he might be that missing component they had, because the rest of the team, apart from Sione Katoa, who's out injured till the middle of the season, the rest of that Sharks 17 are all, from the last couple of seasons where they've finished top 4, top 5. So they'll be there and abouts at the end of the season, I reckon. Good opportunity for them. They're in a window now, I think, a premiership window. Will all depend on Nico Hines and how Nico plays. I thought he had an okay game. I'm not saying he was solid. There's a lot of conjecture about where he should be playing. Some experts are coming out saying he should play 13. Some are saying he should be 14 coming off the bench. Some are saying Will Kennedy looked a little bit suspect in defence and Nico should go back to fullback, and they should have Daniel Atkinson in the halves with Braden Trindle.
I think that might be it. Be it.
Not a Sharks fan, so I really don't give a shit.
Okay. Exactly.
But I just think they're going to be there and about to the end of the season. Nathan Cleary, how's that for a guy that's played no footy whatsoever since grand final, and even at the end of last year, he was very limited to the footy that he was playing. Came out a masterclass again. He truly is a cyborg. Just ice in his veins. Just such a great game manager. His kicking game's superb. And just to show how ice cold he is, he gets a bit of debris.
I think we've lost him a bit there. Just while we're talking about Nathan Cleary, I'm sure everyone saw that clip of old mate Warriors fan saying, "Just 1 year at the Warriors, Nathan. 1 more year at the Warriors. You've done everything there is to do at Penrith." I think Hammer's back now. What were you saying? I was just talking about old mate who was yelling out for Nathan to have 1 year at the Warriors. Did you see that one?
It's weird when I'm dropping.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So I can't work out it's dropping out because I'm showing full connection.
I thought I'd be the one
Wi-Fi's
having problems.
Yeah, there might be a mini cyclone outside. That's what it could be here in Sydney. I did see that clip of that guy saying 1 year at you've done enough for Penrith, 1 year at the Warriors, Nate.
And your dad's done enough too.
Yeah, that was good. That was very good. But yeah, he's back to his cyborg best. Did you see that kick a goal where they threw the debris on the field and he kind of just moved it, stepped back and slotted that over from the sideline?
A shelling piece. Yeah.
Oh, he's one in the million.
Mate, he's unbelievable. He's one guy that he's actually really hard to dislike. I mean, there's a lot of dickheads, or there has been a lot of dickheads in that Penrith team, but for whatever reason, I don't know whether it's because of his connection to the Warriors and that sort of thing. He's just doesn't seem to be one of those dickheads.
No, he seems like he's got a very level head about him. Yeah, and you're right. He's very easy to like. He's very hard to dislike. He's very humble, but I think that comes from his dad. Ivan is a very humble man and very likable as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
We love you, Ivan.
Other Vegas games, mate. Started off with the Wigan Warriors dominant over Sam Burgess's Warrington Wolves, is it? Is it Warrington Wolves?
Warrington Wolves, yeah.
24-0 at halftime, a 48-24 final scoreline. I can't really comment on that game because I didn't watch it.
I didn't see it either, to be honest.
I did
watch. Apparently, they went to the video ref for every single try, though. That's what Sean was telling me.
I did watch the third game after the Warriors, which was the Gillaroos' dominant 90-4 annihilation of the English. What are they called? The Roses, or
yeah,
what are they called?
Like that.
Lionesses.
Yeah, lioness. Yeah.
Far from a lioness. They're like a dead gazelle. Yeah, they're a dead gazelle. Yeah, that Gillaroos back line is just absolutely potent. Julia Robinson, Tamika Upton, Isabel Kelly, Jess Surges, Tiana Penatani. Yeah.
Yep.
Could have been 106 if Taryn Aitken had her kicking boots on.
She had a John Simon day with the boots.
Yes. One glaring omission from the Gillaroos was Millie Elliott, who has announced her pregnancy, which reinforces my prediction. I've put another tick next to it, so I've got 2 ticks that Millie Elliott will go another season where she has no idea who the fuck Brad Inger is. Sorry, Brad. Looks like not only is she married, but now she's going to be a mum.
The poor kid's got to look half like Adam Elliott as well.
Well, I noticed he hasn't been picked for the for Newcastle this week either. He's on the extended bench, so yeah, I think they're looking to get rid of him somewhere. Who knows? I'm sorry, Brad. It's just that I'll have to, from our 25 predictions for 2025, I'm only going to get one right, but I'm going to have 25 ticks next to it because
I got one right. I picked that result in the game as well. Disappointing loss to Canberra.
I've actually got 2 right because I did pick that an American sports star will get photographed with an Australian rugby league player and not know who the fuck he was. And that was Cody Rhodes, WWE champion with Aaron Woods.
Yes. To be honest, even if you knew who Aaron Woods is, you're like, why am I in a photo with this guy?
Yeah, I know. Well, that at least Cody Rhodes was probably saying at least they sent Aaron Woods and not Bo Ryan. That's probably what he was saying.
Yeah. Yeah, cool.
Sorry, Brad, but have you and Millie got names picked out for your child, or have you got a name picked out that you're going to call the child, regardless of what Millie calls the child? Because going to be interesting. You might have to find another NRLW front rower to love, Brad.
Yeah, it's over. It's over, mate.
Yeah. Millie only dates starting NRL players. Yeah, it's one of those things where there's a couple of girls like that where they date NRL players, but they become the bigger name than their NRL playing spouse. Because Tiana Penatani was like that. She ended up with Aaron Gray, who used to play on the wing or something for Cronulla. Yeah.
Who was dating Zach Lomax?
Jess Surges, but now she's with Tommy Talau at Manly.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I think I did hear that. And so who's the girl that's with the Hammer at the moment? Are you trying to say something about
Jamie Chapman? No, that's
Chapman.
Different. Yeah,
think she's going to eclipse the Hammer, the little Hammer?
No way. No, the Hammer's a household name. I forgot about them.
Bruce is the
yeah. Bruce Inger. Elliott. Bruce Elliott Inger.
Bruce Elliott.
Bruce Boyle Elliott Inger.
Too funny. Too funny,
yeah.
Brad.
Just look at Jess Surges. What about her? What are we looking at? Clough stuff? Moving through the NRL ranks. Well, she's only been with 2 blokes. But she had to find someone that wasn't as good as Zach Lomax, so she's going kind of looking for a reserve grader, I think. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, up until last year, I would have said that wouldn't have been hard, but Zach Lomax had a really good year last year. So
yeah.
Yep.
The whole Vegas experience, I think the Warriors, they're talking about they got left in the bright lights. I think I don't know. Maybe caught short. I don't know what their prep was like once they got over there.
It's hardly a normal game of footy, and it would be impossible to not get caught up in it. I mean, you're in the big bright lights, the big smoke. A lot of those guys would probably have never been to anywhere other than Australia and New Zealand as well. So
the disappointing, I think the disappointing thing about the whole experience is the fact is how much money it costs the fans to go over there, and that's what got dished up. And not saying I told you so, but we kind of said when it was first announced last year about the Warriors going to Vegas, and because we were having such an indifferent season last year, we actually said it's a long way to go to watch us to lose to Canberra. Now, I live in Sydney and I've travelled the 3 hours down to Canberra to watch us lose to Canberra many a time, and that's always a long trip. So I couldn't imagine spending 10K plus and travelling 22 hours or whatever it is in a plane to watch us lose in that fashion.
And we acknowledge that it's a massive bucket list thing, and it is. And like, if I had the financial resources, I would have done it. But as I've said to you and I've said to everyone, if I'm going to go all that way, halfway across the world to go just for a game of footy, it's not going to be just for a game of footy. I'm going to take the family. I'm going to take the kids to Disneyland. I'm going to go to Miami to go and watch my beloved Heat and do all these sorts of things that I want to do over in America. And I just didn't have the resources to do that at this point in time. So it's like, I mean, going there for like 1 week, it just seems like a lot of money to spend to do that, and each to their own. And look, it looked like a fantastic experience from what we've seen, and we're going to hear more about that from Richie Morgan next week. So
mate. Malcolm Earnshaw just had a comment about Morgan Harper. Do you want to throw that up?
Yep.
And I will answer that. Thoughts on Harper signing, just a cover player or experience and cheap? I thought I covered this last week when I've got absolutely total disdain for Morgan Harper and his signing. I think it's on par with the signing of Jono Wright, and he was a player back in what year was it? 2009 or 2010?
2015. It was more recent.
Oh, was it?
2015, 2016, I think. Yeah,
I actually
Cappy McFadden loved him.
That's right. I actually had posted a photo of Jono Wright on a Warriors forum and had him up for sale because back in the day I just couldn't handle that guy. Look, Harper, he's played 60-something first-grade games. He comes with some experience, obviously very cheap.
It's just
probably
1 year as well.
Yeah, it's a 1-year deal. I would hope that there's guys ahead of him in the rotation. I mean, I know he's been brought in the top 30. I'd rather see a guy like Moala Graham-Taufa getting an opportunity ahead of him. If it came down to a coin toss and we had to put Ed Causey or Morgan Harper in first grade, I would, I don't know, I'd probably put Ed in because I like Ed as a person.
Yeah, same. Well, we got a real soft spot for Ed, and we know that he has his moments on the field, but he has played well, and we'd love nothing more than to see him go well. But just at the moment, he's just probably not our first choice or right fit for the team.
No. Enough about Vegas, mate. We got the rest of round 1 happening this week. Game 1 or game 3, I should say, kicks off tomorrow night with the Roosters taking on the Broncos here in Sydney. For the Roosters, Chatty Townsend, former Warrior Chad Townsend, makes his Roosters debut. For the Broncos, Madge Maguire has named us.
Yeah, we've lost Hammer again, but we're talking about the Broncos, Madge Maguire's team. I don't have it in front of me, but I think Hammer's about to jump back in again. Yep.
Tell me when I'm back.
You're back. You're back. Yeah.
Fuck this, man. Corey Pate's at 9 for the Broncos. That means Daddy's boy Billy Walters. He's named at 14. Hunt and Reynolds in the halves for the Broncos, mate. What's your tip in this one? I'm tipping the Broncos by a country mile.
I'm reluctantly going to have to agree. I think the Broncos will win big, like 20 plus, and the media is going to get carried away. This is the new Madge era, blah, blah, blah. The only thing I'd say about that is I think I'm surprised that even with the cyclone in southeast Queensland, they didn't try to move this up to Suncorp Stadium anyway on a Thursday night.
Yeah, that's true. I think the Broncos are really in a that team on paper should be winning a comp. They should be there. As much as it pains me to say it, they should be there. Friday night we got 2 games. The first is the Tigers. The new look Tigers take on the Knights at. Ooh. I'm assuming it's Campbelltown. I haven't got where it's at. For the Tigers, Seafarth, he beats out Jack Bird in the back row. Obviously, Jerome Luai at 7. Sunia Taruva makes his Tigers debut on the wing. Heath Mason named at fullback for the injured Jareen Buller. For the Knights, Fletcher Sharp at 6 for the Knights. He's trialled in that position all off-season. Jack Hogger at 7. And Phoenix Crossland gets the nod over Jaden Brayley, a guy that they were talking about for Origin only 2 or 3 years ago. What's your tip in this one, mate? I'm going to tip the Tigers to start the season with a win. I'm going to tip the Tigers by 8.
This is a funny one because this is the kind of game that the Tigers would lose no matter who they've got in their team. I'm going to stick with them, though, because you and I, we've both got really good mates of the Tigers fans, long-suffering Tigers fans. I've got a bit of a soft spot for the Tigers, and even though they've been a running joke for years and years and years, I actually want them to have a really good year, just not when they play us, just so they don't get their paws on the Mike Doreen Cup. But
yes.
I'm going to go to Tigers. I think it's going to be a close one. I think there'll be plenty of points scored. I think Tigers 1-12.
Yeah, I think this year is the year that they climb out of the cellar and they reclaim their known ladder position of 9th.
I think so. Yeah.
The second of the Friday night games were originally supposed to take place in Redcliffe, I think. Then they tentatively moved it to Suncorp because Brisbane's only a little bit away from Redcliffe and not under the same cyclone era. They have moved it to Sydney. It's now going to be a Rabbitohs home game at CommBank Stadium. For the Rabbitohs, Jack Whiten, Campbell Graham in the centres. Graham makes his return, hasn't played at all since the 2023 season. Humphreys gets the nod at number 7 ahead of Pommy import Lewis Dodd. And Lachlan Hubner, he gets that coveted 13 jersey over Tallis Duncan. For the Dolphins, no real selection surprises. I think Junior Tupu's named on the wing. Daniel Saifidi making his club debut in the front row. Mate, I'm going to tip the Dolphins here. I just think no Latrell Mitchell, no Cam Murray, no Alex Johnston on the wing. I'm going to tip the Dolphins in a close one. Dolphins by 4. Christian Wolf to get his first win over his mentor, Wayne Bennett. Yeah.
Yeah, I could smell a Dolphins ambush as well. I don't know. I just sort of like the mix of their side. They weren't too far away last year. I think Dolphins are in for a pretty big year, and I think they'll start off strong. Be a close one, though. Yeah, another sort of 1-12 kind of margin.
Yep. Saturday, Super Saturday, kicks off with the Dragons versus the Bulldogs at Netstrata Jubilee Oval. New look Dragons side with Gutho, Holmes and Damien Cook, all named to make their club debuts. Lachlan Ilias at number 7 for the Bulldogs. Hectic Montoya returns to his club of origin, named on the wing. Satili Tupanua on the bench. No Josh Curran in this one, mate. I don't know if Josh is injured.
Suspended, I think. I think he's suspended.
Is he suspended? Okay, There you go. Mate, I think the new, as much as Brad's going to hate me, I think the era of the Dragons is going to kick off. I've tipped the Dragons to make the 8 this year with their roster changes. I'm going to tip them to beat Serraldo's Bulldogs in a close one by 6.
You just can't stop upsetting Brad tonight, can you?
It's my life mission.
Look, this is a tough one to pick. Bitter old rivals, the Bulldogs and the Dragons. I'm going to stick with the Bulldogs. A very close one. I think they were such a strong defensive side last year, and I think they might frustrate the Dragons in this one. I think that it'll be close though. So by 6. Bulldogs by 6.
Game 2 of Super Saturday is the Sea Eagles versus. I've lost the plot. I lost the plot. I lost the plot 30 odd years ago when I started in '95 when I started supporting the Warriors.
The Warriors.
Yeah. Yep. Sea Eagles versus Cowboys. I think this is at Four Pines Park at Manly. Our mate Jazz Tavunga named it hooker for the Manly Warringah Sea Eagles. Siwa Taukiaho, he starts in the front row for the Sea Eagles in a surprise selection. For the Cowboys, our mate Toddy Payton, a.k.a.
Clinton Howard.
Clinton Howard has named Tom Duffy as his halfback, named to make his club debut at 7. Johnny Bateman in the back row. Jason Taumalolo on the extended bench only. Mate, I just think that the Sea Eagles are going to be too strong for the Cowboys. I think the Sea Eagles by 10.
Yeah, I think that the Sea Eagles are going to be too good. I think this one might blow out.
And then one game on Sunday to round out round 1 is the Storm travelling up to the Storm taking on the Eels, who travel down to Melbourne. For the Storm, Ryan Pappenhausen is named at 1 after all the pre-season talk that he wouldn't be ready for round 1. He does don the 1 jersey. Big Stefano Utukamano named at 8, and he pushes Big Tui Kamikamitha to the bench. For the Eel, Munster and Jerome Hughes both named in the halves for the Storm, which is an ominous thing. For the Eels, Isaiah Longy has won the race for that coveted number 1 jersey, vacated by King Gutho. Ronnie Volkman at 7 for Mitch Moses, which means you have another prediction that has come true for your 25 for 25. Zach Lomax named in the centres for the Eels, and interestingly, no Sean Lane in the back row. Mate, I think the Storm are just going to be too good and too strong, and I think they'll win by 20.
I think the Storm will absolutely smash them in a bit of a round 1 clinic. Tough start. Yeah. Tough start for Jason Riles coming up against his former mentor, the guy that said, one more year, kept him out of the first.
Let's not forget, what's Bellamy going for? 25 in a row for round 1 wins?
Round 1. Yeah, I don't think that's under any threat, but stranger things have happened, like cyclones in Brisbane. So there you go.
That's true. Malcolm Earnshaw, cool seeing Jazz walking around DY. Seems happy enough to be on the beaches. He is, mate. I've been in contact with Jazz for most of the off-season. Bought some stuff off him, and I've been looking to catch up with him, but we've been chatting quite regularly, at least once a week. He's very happy to be on the northern beaches. He loves it down there. Did a press conference today and said he always hated playing at Manly when he was a Warrior because of the crowd. It's such an intimate field as those suburban grounds are, and that hill crowd used to really give it to you. He said he's looking forward to having them support him this week. So, best of luck to our good mate Jazz. To round out round 1, mate, the Titans have the bye.
I think they'll just get up. Yeah.
Yeah. As much shit as I want to put on the Titans, mate. I do remember the Gold Coast
glass houses.
Gold Coast game last year.
You're right.
So that just about rounds out, or that does round out our round 1 preview, and pretty much wraps up the show. Any housekeeping you want to get through before we log off, mate, in regards to Redbubble, Patreon, and so forth?
Yep. Before I do that, I just want to give a bit of a shout out to a great friend of the show, good mate of ours, and ex-Warrior, Warrior 134, Michael Witt, has just started a new online business. So if you guys are after meal replacement shakes, it's called Vital Man, his business. So you can get the Vital Shake. It's a similar kind of concept to the Man Shake. I've started using it today, obviously trying to shed some more kilos so I can fit back into my jerseys. And so I've just got the shipment just in time for me to go on lockdown for a few days. But he's got a couple of different products. He's got a vanilla and a chocolate shake, and he's got this Vital Drive Male Optimizer. So if you're into that sort of thing, like, go and check out his website, Vital Man. And his message was always up the wires because he's still very much a Warriors man these days. So you stay safe as well, Whitty. If you're watching this, you're on the Gold Coast there as well, so you're right in the firing line too. So make sure you stay safe. Also, make sure that you go and check out our Redbubble store if you want to grab yourself some merchandise. I can get the link back. Hammer's got the latest Up the Wars shirt there. So if you go into Redbubble, we got plenty of designs there for honouring past, present legends. Make sure you go to redbubble.people/ruinhammer/shop, and anything that you purchase the commission will come back to us, and we put that back into the show to bring you the presentation that we do via our Restream and other licenses that we have. So we thank you so much for all you guys who have bought shirts and merchandise, for supporting us. And another way that you can support us financially is through Patreon. If you consider becoming a Patreon member, it's www.patreon.com/ruinhammer. You can jump on there, and for as little as $3 a month, you can support us with what we do. We do release stuff on there exclusively for Patreon, and there will be opportunities for ways that you can interact with us and potentially even some of our guests later in the year. So make sure you check that out. Thank you so much to all you people who have stuck with us on Patreon. We really appreciate it. Some of you guys in the chat, particularly our gold Patreons, and Malcolm, you're one of those as well. And we greatly appreciate all the support that we get from you guys.
Absolutely, we do. That about rounds it out for, what is it, episode 4? We're well and truly underway now, mate, with round 1 under the belt. Just a reminder, next week we'll be back at the same time, 7 p.m. Sydney time, 6 p.m. Queensland time, 9 p.m. New Zealand time, where we're going to be joined by the founder of Warrior Nation here in Australia, Richie Morgan. He's going to chat all things Vegas with us. We'll do a quick recap of these round 1 games and look ahead to round 2. The Warriors taking on the Sea Eagles for their first home game at Go Media Stadium in round 2. For all our Northern New South Wales and Southeast Queensland friends and family, we hope you stay safe. Mate, to you, keep in touch each day. Let me know what's going on. Hope everyone stays safe. Thank you all for tuning in tonight, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks a lot, guys. Stay safe and up the wires.